What are 5 traps to avoid when you get older? It's a really important thing to think about because old age creeps up on you. I noted, I didn't want to be the wrong side of 50. Now I'm nearly the wrong side of 60. There's a big difference between being 50 and 60. Just in your mindset and your mentality. When you're in your mid-40s, even late 40s, you're kind of still young, let's say. But when you're hitting mid-50s towards late 50s, something happens to you. So I want to walk through these 5 things that are traps that I try and avoid with some success, wins and losses, as you approach old age. And I'm interested if anyone else experiences these traps. The first one is being stuck in the past. People have varying memories of the past, whether the past was good or bad or whatever it was, but it's tied up with you're not making new experiences, but that's another reason. But stuck in the past. I know a bloke, and he doesn't go out much, he's on the pension, and he gets bored and he rings people up, and I think boredom's got a lot to do with it, and he's stuck in the past. He'll talk to me, as much as I let him, hours about this and that happened when he was in his 20s and this experience, and then he's only got so much of an inventory of these kind of memories, and then he keeps recycling them, and I've heard them all. So that's the end of it. And I think coupled with that is another reason, either yearning or wishing you were young again. And the well-known phenomenon is a bald man with a sports car and perhaps a girlfriend who's 30 years younger than him. It's not a good look, right? It's the yearning for not the past, but the person you were in the past. That person's gone. That person doesn't exist anymore. And whether it's for biological, psychological, experiential reasons, who knows? But that person's gone. The third trap is no new experiences. I've somewhat fallen into this trap. I walk the same way when I go for a dog walk. It's more and more of a challenge to do something new. But what that is for me, in Australia, it's a challenge. Pretty much I've done everything I want to do in Australia. If I go to Thailand, which I will at the end of the year, everything's new. And you're forced to think on your feet, and it keeps you young. It's interesting, I see a lot of these videos about people in Bali, Aussies in Bali, who more or less set their house up the same way they've done in Australia, and they go off and do the same stuff. The idea of going to a foreign country and then just going to the pub all the time, that's pretty much just repeating the pattern that you've got in Australia or whatever it is, right? That's not retirement. Embracing a new country, embracing a new culture, and understanding as best you can, given the language and the historical context of that country is completely foreign to you, will help you generate new experiences. You may not like those new experiences even, which brings you back to your safe zone, right? The fourth trap to avoid is wishing things were still the way they were when you liked things. That could be Australia, the country. Things are better in the 70s, things are better in the 80s. And for any young people who are watching this, young people being, 40, under 40, let's say, 45 and under, you will experience this phenomenon possibly in 20 years' time. So you might be saying in the year 2050, oh man, the 2020s were great. There's a phenomenon in human psychology that is a survival mechanism that I've read about, that the brain, in retrospect, blocks out bad news and pain, because it just does. If you carried around all of your sad sacks on your back the whole time, you wouldn't bother, would you? So the brain actually filters this bad shit out. And it could be that that's why the phenomenon of wishing how the things were the way they were. Oh, remember when Australia made its own cars, Holden and Ford, right? The Ford Falcon was the best. The Holden Commodore was the best. These electric vehicles are pieces of shit, right? They're just transport A to B, right? And that's backed up. You know, if you want to get a Torana 5000 SLR, the V8 from the 70s, you're up for around $350,000, $400,000. People will pay good money to try and recapture, and ridiculous money, to try and recapture how things were in the past, right? The last trap is the most important one to avoid, and it kind of is along the lines of don't beat yourself up mentally, which is a really good thing not to do anytime. But what could I have done differently in my life that would make a difference now? And I've had a recent loss in my personal life, and I was thinking about this a little bit. Could I have done anything differently? The answer is not really. Could I have made different choices when I was younger that mean I would be a better person, more grounded person, you know, 40 odd years later? Well, not really. You are who you are, and as Popeye says, I yam's what I yam, and you have to accept that.